Funding for Schaeferless is provided by
Surfshark VPN. Tune in to the end to find out about their amazing service. On June 12th, 2019, I uploaded my very first ranking video. Every Best Animated Feature winner ranked. This was a fun change of pace from my previous videos, which were all about analyzing and reviewing a single movie or show, as opposed to 18 of them. I remember thinking to myself, okay, that was a fun, long, and ambitious video, but I don't think I'm gonna do anything like it again. So yeah, things changed. I grew to realize that I just have a craving for ranking things. I don't know why, but it is just so satisfying to me to figure out the exact order I would categorize different pieces of art in, based on my personal tastes and feelings. I can't begin to explain myself. It's just something I love doing. Going through a bunch of different things from worst to best, and getting a chance to cover all of them in a single video is just really fun and cool to me. But with that said, something's always gotta be at the bottom, no matter what. And I've unified every single one of those last place underachievers with that same jingle.
Rejected! Fiddlestick!
Disappointment in the game of life!
Well, I've been thinking for quite a while now. Which disappointment in the game of life is the most disappointing? For you see, a malicious entity does not go away after I place it at the bottom of a ranking and attempt to move on. No, truly there is no moving on until we sort this out. It's time to take everything we've learned over the past 5.5 years of my channel and apply it. Once and for all, determining what is the order I would rank every last place work in every single one of my ranking videos. Now, the thing that makes this task extra fun and extra stupid is that we're not just ranking the movies. No. I said every ranking video. Aside from any top 10 or top 15 lists that don't really have a last place spot, everything is fair game. This includes the worst episodes of TV shows I've ranked, the worst race courses and battle mode tracks in every one of my Mario Kart rankings, the worst songs from various cartoons, the worst social links in each Persona game, the worst Disney and Pixar villains, the worst roles C-3PO and R2-D2 have played in a Star Wars movie, the worst water in a Star Wars movie, the worst crusty sound effects that plays out of a Wii remote speaker when you select a character in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Yeah, we're ranking everything, you dumb bitch. It's Schaeferless Generations, featuring everything I hate the most in every category. Join me on this incredible struggle to try and fit so many round pieces into square holes as I attempt to come up with a cohesive method of ranking things that, quite frankly, should not be compared under any circumstances. Without further ado, let's get this waking nightmare started.
Disappointment in the game of life!
Alright, so obviously we're going from best to worst here. And the number one place on this list, the least bad last place thing of all time, is the only one I would call genuinely, unambiguously good. There's honestly nothing really wrong with it. It is in fact the Tale of Aang from my Tales of Ba Sing Se ranking. Remember that? Yeah, this is like a perfectly good, cute little short that just isn't as compelling as the other segments in this episode. I do kind of wish Aang was feeling a little more down about Appa, but on the other hand, it is nice for him to experience some levity during a dark period for him. Yeah, I don't know, this is like the only thing on this list I would give a solid 7 out of 10 to. It's pretty good. We've also got a couple more things that are just okay. Let's enjoy the calm before the storm while it lasts.
Disappointment in the game of life!
Next up is Wes Anderson's weakest movie, Bottle Rocket. This is not a bad movie in the slightest, I just kinda thought it was alright. I don't really understand the people who say he peaked here. Like at that point, I think you just don't like Wes Anderson if you say that. But if this is among your favorites of his, I can't even argue with that. It's got a nice charm and charisma to it with some great performances. It's pretty handily the Wes Anderson film I think the least about, but if I had to watch it again, I wouldn't really I mind that.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Now for the first of many Mario Kart courses. The best of the worst has gotta be Mario Kart 7's iteration of N64 Luigi Raceway. Mario Kart 7 in general is just the game with the least duds in the series, with its worst course just kinda being an okay, faithful remake of an N64 starter track. It's a little boring, but it's comparatively harmless, with nothing to really make it stand out, but nothing that actively annoys me at all.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, I alluded to this in the Mario poll video, but Peachette is one of those last place rankings that I no longer stand by. I have to admit, I don't outright despise her anymore. I picked her a couple times when she was added to Mario Kart 8, and I had some mild fun. Her biker outfit is really cute. And really, I'm not gonna act like this was a wasted slot, because what did we really expect? There were only 2 mystery slots on the roster going into Wave 6, and we weren't sure if Diddy, Funky, or Pauline was gonna get left out because of it. Lo and behold, we got them all. So what harm is a little bonus Peach clone on top of that? I sincerely doubt she stole a slot from anyone else, because I doubt they had the time to make anyone else who wasn't just a clone. Thank you, Peachette, for making the character additions to the Booster Course Pass a nice even number. I still think you're a little whatever, but I don't hate you anymore. I've grown as a person.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Continuing the trend of completely inoffensive things that just don't spark too much joy or excitement in me, we have C-3PO's role in The Force Awakens. This is such a great video. I'm like talking about movies and then Mario Kart shit, and then suddenly we are talking about the way a character was used in a movie and trying to compare that to all this other stuff. Yeah, so like 3PO was just kind of underused in the movie, but I wouldn't say he was used poorly. There was just a lot going on, and he didn't really have a chance to pop up too much more. He was fine in this movie. I almost didn't recognize him because of the red arm.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh boy, our first battle mode course in Mario Kart. Yep, I'm including all the battle mode courses for the exact reason you think. Double Dash's Tilt-A-Kart is pretty decent, just not really a go-to course for me compared to the others in this mode. I don't know, man, we're gonna be talking about a lot of these, so buckle up.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, we're still in okay territory, just remember that. Next up is the weakest Smiling Friends episode, Mr. President. I'm honestly surprised I got some pushback for saying this one was the weakest. Like, I thought that was the general consensus. I think it's probably because a lot of people liked the president character, which is valid, but he wasn't my thing personally. I'm more so just a little disappointed with how they kind of wasted this amazing premise and barely utilized Mr. Frog. Plus they crammed a lot in with the whole worm stuff that goes very underdeveloped. I don't know, I feel like the focus was just on the wrong places in this episode, but I cannot stress enough that it really is not bad. There is not a bad episode of Smiling Friends yet. I just felt like this is the one that left the most to be desired.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Roadside Attraction is very similar to Mr. President in the sense that there really isn't a bad episode of Gravity Falls. And the fact that this is the weakest one just goes to show what a high standard the show has in general. If you showed this episode to any random person and said, yeah, it's a cute, funny cartoon episode, just have fun with it, chances are they'll probably enjoy it. On its own, it's fine. It just suffers so much from where it takes place chronologically. It makes absolutely no sense to throw this random season 1-esque episode right before the final few episodes. And I still don't understand what the Dipper X Candy thing was about. Genuinely though, there's not much actually wrong with it when you divorce it from the context of the rest of the show, aside from it being maybe a little dull and standard. Still, if this was someone's first Gravity Falls episode, it would probably still get them interested in the show. Which, you know, that counts for something.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, spoilers, but the next 3 spots in a row are gonna go to GBA battle courses in 3 different Mario Kart games. These are all fairly simple and arguably boring, but they do their jobs of providing a basic arena for you to fight in perfectly fine. Not to mention they have some sick-ass music to boot. Easily the best battle mode song in the whole series. First up is the Mario Kart 7 version of GBA Battle Course 1. There's nothing super wrong with it aside from its simplicity, and it outranks the original because, I don't know, at least this one is 3D.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Next is GBA Battle Course 1 in its original Super Circuit form. This one is not 3D and it doesn't even have moles, so it ranks a little lower.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Finally, we have the Mario Kart Wii iteration of GBA Battle Course 3. Oh my god, there's so many of these. I forget what I said in my original video. Something about the L's being too big of obstacles. I have no idea, man, but it's fine otherwise.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, it's Persona O'Clock. Here's the Persona 1 opening movie, the weakest one in the series. Yeah, I mean, it's not devoid of artistic merit. The piano is fine, and the last shot with the blocks in the hospital room is pretty cool. But yeah, it's kinda boring, I don't know. I don't really get a whole lot out of it. I mean, to be fair, I still haven't played this game, but I watched someone else play through all of it. I know the story and characters. It suits the general mood of its game pretty well, but it's just not really all that engaging to watch, regardless.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Next up, we have the entire score of The Rise of Skywalker. Look, I dunked on this thing pretty hard, but putting it into perspective next to all the other evil entities on this list, I mean, at least it's nice to listen to. It's annoying when you're watching the film and you hear Palpatine's theme for the 50th time instead of something original. But I mean, I like Palpatine's theme. This film is a greatest hits medley of bits from the previous scores, and they're not used in the most sensical of ways. But damn it, at least those compositions are good. And to be totally fair, I do like some of the original compositions in this film. The celebration music towards the end is actually pretty good and not derivative. It really just goes to show you that even one of the worst John Williams scores I've ever heard in my life is some solid shit. Leaps and bounds ahead of some of the garbage we're gonna get into.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, so we talked about a lot of movie and video game stuff with substance. Now we get to go over what I think is one of the funniest inclusions in this ranking. Donkey Kong's Wii Remote sound in Brawl. So why do I like this less than the Rise of Skywalker's score and the President episode of Smiling Friends? I don't know. It's kind of an inoffensive little grunt. But it annoys me because it basically tells you nothing about Donkey Kong.
What you eating? A banana. Want a bite? Sure.
I swear, I don't get anything out of this. And you could have easily thrown in a bongo sound effect or something. He's a character with a lot of personality, and this is just such a nothing little noise. So that's why I like this 1 second grunt less than an entire misguided movie score. At least there are some good bits of the Rise of Skywalker's music. But can you pick out any good bits of Donkey Kong's 1 second grunt? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Now for the worst battle map in Mario Kart 8. Deluxe. Lunar Colony isn't a terrible map to battle on, but it's just got way too many craters that mess up the trajectory of your items to be all that fun. Oh, but you can trick off of them! Yeah, but like, why do I need to trick if I'm not in a race? Is that little speed boost really gonna make that much of a difference? Who am I impressing by tricking off of the craters in Lunar Colony? Oh well, not terrible but not impressive, whatever, moving on.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, I'm not gonna be biased by the fact that Mario Kart 64 to this day has the best battle mode in the series. That will not sway me from acknowledging the shortcomings of Big Donut. Battle maps should not be a circle with no way to quickly get from one side to the other. Otherwise, that's how you get— No, we're not getting into that yet. Look, ultimately Big Donut isn't terrible, but you're gonna be chasing people a lot instead of naturally running into them. And that's just not as fun compared to playing on the other maps in this game.
Disappointment in the game of life.
For such a generally positive ranking with very few actual bad entries, it's really hard to overstate how much the music on SNES Ghost Valley and Mario Kart really dropped the ball. They took an already kind of monotonous and repetitive song from a platforming level and dulled it down even further. The original Ghost House music in Mario World progressed into a do-do-do-do-do, and that's not even in the Mario Kart version. What the hell? Yeah, this is just a lame copy of a song I already didn't really care for. I mean, I can tolerate it just fine, but it doesn't scare me, it doesn't excite me, and with that said, it's better than like 40 other things in this ranking.
Chaos control!
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, we got our first full entire movie in quite a while. Unsurprisingly, a lot of the full entire movies that rank at the bottom of a video for me are terrible in unfathomable ways. Hence why we haven't really seen too many of them yet. But thankfully, Tenet is really not that bad. I don't really like it because I don't get as invested in the characters as everyone else does. Surprisingly, the incomprehensible story isn't really that much of a deal breaker for me, as long as I was having fun with it. But yeah, I don't know, despite good performances and chemistry, I didn't really care about the main two characters, and the action isn't all that compared to some other Nolan films. I don't think it's terrible, but it's definitely one of those films where if you told me this was one of your favorite or one of your least favorite Nolan films, I would completely 100% understand either way. Everyone gets something different out of it, and I think that's kinda neat. I don't really care about it, but I don't hate it either. I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh boy, now we're ranking The Water in A New Hope. My dumbass Star Wars rankings are part of the reason I wanted to do this in general, because I thought it would be so funny trying to compare like actual entire movies and Mario Kart courses to The Water in A New Hope. I don't know. What do you want me to say? If we are judging it by the standards of water in the series in general, yeah, it looks really terrible. You know, obviously I'd rather sit through the footage of the water in this movie compared to an entire film I'm not a big fan of. But I gotta put that aside and consider the vibes of this compared to the vibes of something else. Like, I don't really want to rewatch Tenet, but as a movie, it inspires more entertainment value than I get from looking at the dirty trash water in A New Hope. Like, I think we can all agree on that, maybe. I don't even know anymore. This is so stupid. I'm having fun though.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, now we're starting to get to the stuff that I actively don't have a good time with. Just a little bit. Next up, we have the Mario Kart Wii remake of GBA Shy Guy Beach. I just think this is a really lame remake. It kind of feels a little fan-made, and I don't want to insult fans by saying that, because they've made some way more impressive stuff than this. It's just kind of an unsatisfying course to play. Like, the island hopping and pitiful trick ramps don't inspire any joy in me whatsoever. Just incredibly lame, and I actively avoid playing it whenever I pick up Mario Kart Wii.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Likewise, Palm Shore is a bland, boring beach map with a rising and falling tide gimmick that results in water that is actively unfun to drive through. This is the map they decided was good enough to bring back in Mario Kart 7 for some reason.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Purple Coins by the Seaside is my least favorite star in Super Mario Galaxy. But with that said, for being the worst out of 121 levels, this really isn't that bad of a placement. Super Mario Galaxy is just one of the most fun video games ever created. Obviously. Everyone knows this. Like, yeah, I can enjoy myself kinda flying from cloud to cloud with the bee suit, but eventually, it always sets in that this star is just mindless busy work. It's not really challenging or exciting, just completely tedious circling this linear ring to pick up 100 purple coins. I don't know, man, some galaxies clearly did not need purple coin missions, and this is the prime example of that. Not the worst, but it kinda blows.
Please don't.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, now it's time for R2-D2's role in The Force Awakens, which you might be surprised that I ranked significantly lower than 3PO's. But ultimately, that's because not only is there somehow less to work with than with 3PO, but it actively pisses me off how R2 just conveniently decides to turn on and reveal the last piece of the map they're missing. This really should have been our warning sign that this trilogy was a storytelling catastrophe. But we all just assumed, oh, it'll be answered why he turned on here in the next one. Yeah, keep dreaming. Ultimately, I find the fact that R2 isn't really used at all in this movie way more annoying than 3PO's. Partially because I like R2 a lot better as a character, but also because, yeah, this just kind of sucks as an unexplained piece of the puzzle.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh boy, another thing with R2 in it. It's The Mandalorian Season 3. Wait, was he in this? No, wait, that was season 2, and then the Book of Boba Fett he was in. Oh my god, this is... Oh. What a fucking mess. I honestly completely forgot this was eligible for the list until I remembered that despite being a slightly different kind of ranking video, my ranking of every TV show season I watched in 2023 did indeed include a last place spot. I don't know, man. I don't want to take too much time with this. This is just such a depressing fall off. Emblematic of how Star Wars fell off as a whole, really. I actively don't want more Mandalorian or Star Wars content that isn't Andor because of how bad this season was. Lifeless, boring, incoherently plotted. It feels more like a kids show now than the actual kids shows in the franchise. What was Christopher Lloyd doing rambling about Count Dooku? What the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? I don't know, man. Literally just stop watching the show after season 2. The story ends there. Season 3 is dedicated to nothing but undoing the entire goodwill of the first 2 seasons, and I could not stand it whatsoever. But again, it's not the worst thing, nor the worst Star Wars thing I've ever watched. We're in for some treats on this list pretty soon.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, time for more anime shit. I hate Kenji's social link in Persona 3. It's just hearing an annoying kid talk about his plan to date his teacher for 10 straight scenes. You don't get anything out of it. Somehow, this is the least bad of the last place Persona social links though, because at least it tells a coherent story. It could have been worse.
Disappointment in the game of life.
You're a bear!
I am.
Well, this took a while, but we finally reached our first animated movie that got last place in our ranking. One of my most popular rankings, in fact, as well as the original ranking video, the best animated feature winner ranking. And highly unfortunately, such a popular video is in fact completely outdated. I do not think Brave is the worst winner anymore. Most insulting winner, sure, because Wreck-It Ralph should have easily taken it, and it feels like they just gave it to Brave because, hey, it's the Pixar movie, and we gotta give it to the Pixar movie. But with that said, Happy Feet is worse, and I deeply regret not seeing how much worse it was at the time. Happy Feet is of course spared from this list, because it wasn't last place on my George Miller ranking. I wonder what was. But yeah, we'll get to that later. Right now, I'll just say that Brave is really dull, and it ranks this low especially because Merida pisses me off as a protagonist. She's so stupid, and the bear plot is stupid. This movie is just generally stupid, but it has way more artistic merit than practically every other animated movie I've ranked at last place. Take what you can get, Brave fans. But seriously, there's no way it should have beaten Wreck-It Ralph. I think we all agree on that. Speaking of...
Disappointment in the game of life.
Ralph Breaks the Internet. Oh, goody. It's eligible because it came in last place on my Disney 2010s ranking. I'm not gonna talk about this one again. That's what the massive analysis video is for. Just watch that, I don't know. I hate this movie, and I especially hate what it represents. But it has a couple good parts, so it's not as low as it could have been. Congratulations.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, now we're starting to get into the stuff that I either actively despise with a passion, or stuff that is just so meaningless and empty that I couldn't objectively justify putting it any higher on the list, despite the fact that I can sit through a lot of it easier than other stuff. Like, would I rather rewatch Ralph Breaks the Internet or the Potluck song from Steven Universe? Obviously, the Potluck song. But I can't deny there is less artistic merit in the Potluck song because it's just the word potluck over and over. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna give that a pass and say that that's one of the best things I've ever ranked last place. By the pretty high standards of Steven Universe songs, that's just abysmal. Yeah, it's inoffensive. Yeah, it doesn't need to be an amazing song or whatever. But I'm sorry, that's just how I'm interpreting this ridiculous, overstuffed ranking video of a bunch of things that should not be ranked together. Yeah, I don't know. You could have written like a real song here. It didn't have to be anything great. Sadie could have just sang any other words besides potluck. Like, that's all it took. Here, you know what? This isn't in the script, but I'm just gonna write it right now. I'm gonna write, like, a better song than potluck. Potluck's pretty great, and I like it, so don't be late. Potluck's pretty great. admittedly kind of like her singing voice though. It's nice how off-key and natural it is. But yeah, sorry Steven Universe fans, there's no defending Potluck. Alright, now would be a good time for a sponsor bit. And I know what you're thinking. Time for the finale to the Shea Frillis Sandwich 6? No, not yet. We're saving that for the end. But yeah, with that said, Surfshark VPN. I guarantee it's better than Donkey Kong's Wii Remote sound in Brawl. With Surfshark, you can trick your browser into thinking you're in another country, thus allowing you access to exclusive Netflix or Disney Plus content you couldn't get otherwise. Plus, use its Surfshark alert system to get alerts anytime your email address or password is compromised. Surfshark Alert scans various databases of leaked information and notifies its users if their data is found so they can take action, which is an absolutely invaluable feature. Surfshark is also totally unlimited, meaning you can use it on as many devices as you like, even all at the same time. No other VPN allows this. Now, listen up, because this is some extra special info I've got here for you. Until January 1st, we're doing a super special deal for the holidays. 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN at the low price of $1.99 a month. That's an insane deal, and it's not coming around again. So make sure to get it while you can.
Go to surfshark.com/Rillis and enter the promo code Rillis.
For 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. I haven't even brought up the 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, you can cancel during those 30 days and get your money back. If you're looking for a great VPN, there's no reason not to give Surfshark a try.
Once again, go to surfshark.com/Rillis and enter the promo code Rillis.
Have a great time with Surfshark VPN.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Yippee! Time for the first Mario Kart course I actively despise. You probably didn't think these would rank this low, considering Mario Kart gameplay is generally more fun than sitting through a bad movie. But let's be honest here. Racing on dry desert in Double Dash is fun in spite of the course itself, not because of it. I can have fun because the mechanics of the game are fun. But wow, does dry desert suck ass. Unbelievably boring. At least there's a Sarlacc pit and a big tornado. Otherwise, this is just so dull and terrible.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, I know I just said you're probably surprised that some Mario Kart courses rank super low, but I feel like this is one you probably expected to do a lot worse. The Mario Kart 8 remake of GBA Sunset Wilds. Yeah, it's embarrassing that the sun doesn't set. Yeah, it's boring and the multicolored blocks don't fit here at all. But at the end of the day, it has a little bit more going on than some of the other Mario Kart courses I have ranked lower. It does have the 2 trick ramps towards the end and a few shortcut opportunities. The music is still killer. It certainly could have been a lot worse. If you ignore what a bad remake this is, it's not the worst course in the world to play on, despite being the worst thing in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Please note that I said Deluxe.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh brother, the Rise of Skywalker's opening crawl. Give me a break. I don't know if I really have anything new to say about it that I didn't say initially. Just that the opening sentence is how I knew this was gonna be a bad movie. The overused punctuation, the fact that it explains a ridiculous plot development we don't get to see on screen, the fact that it doesn't feel conclusive in the slightest, like the opening of a final chapter in a saga should. Honestly, if it wasn't for the Phantom Emperor line, which is kinda raw, this would be like 10 spots lower.
Disappointment in the game of life.
I don't like Broken Pier. Worst course in Mario Kart Super Circuit. It's boring, it's ugly, it's incredibly easy to fall off, I don't have fun on it. I don't know, man, that's about it.
Disappointment in the game of life.
I also don't like Wario Stadium from Mario Kart 64. It's boring, it's ugly, you can fall off at that one part and get sent back way too far in the track. I do think it is a bit of a shame that this is the only 64 course to never come back. Cause really, it should be so easy to make this one good. Just add stuff to it. Add obstacles, add anti-gravity. It cannot be this hard. The framework is fine, if a bit too long. But that's really the main problem right there. This course is nothing but framework. It felt like they just didn't finish it. Like they were gonna add cool stuff to it later, but they didn't have time, so they plopped the generic raceway theme and the same picture of Wario's head multiplied to infinity onto it and called it a day. It's just such a fascinatingly tragic course, because I know it could be good. As is, it's one of the most boring experiences in the entire Mario Kart series. And it pisses me off because of that. At least Rainbow Road in this game looks and sounds pretty.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Just 1 second.
Okay, this is definitely one of the most where the hell do I rank this entries in the entire list. Because, like, the moment has arrived from Phineas and Ferb isn't, like, bad, I don't think. The thing is, I just can't hear it because it plays in the background during Candace's phone call. All I hear before that is, girl, the moment has arrived. I guess it sounds nice while I can hear it, but I don't know, man. If you're not gonna let the song play, then it's kind of worthless in the context of Phineas and Ferb songs, right? I don't think anyone but the single most diehard fan on the planet even knows what this song is. At least Potluck was a tangible song you could hear. I don't know, man. I have no idea. This ranking is hard enough as is, and then you got shit like this on top of everything. I think this is the official start of the F tier on this list. But this is like the least offensive F tier there is, so it goes here. I don't know.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, we're back on the Persona train. Woo-hoo! I hate Teddy and I hate his stupid social link. This shit has nothing to do with advancing your bond with him as a character. It's just random scenes that they slap a little rank up animation onto the end of. It's not the most annoying thing to sit through in Persona 4, but as a social link, it is actively a failure. Only outdone in that department by
Disappointment in the game of life.
Sainijima's social link, the worst one in Persona 5 and the entire Persona series. It deeply annoys me that they even gave her one, considering there's only 6 ranks, and then it abruptly ends. They could have so easily added those last 4 ranks after your interrogation session with her is over. They actually did something pretty cool in Metaphor recently, where one of your social links, Katharina, is automatic for the first half after you beat her in recurring boss battles. But then, once those are done, she just becomes a normal social link that you can talk to and rank up. Why couldn't Sainijima have been that? Truth be told, I hate Akechi's vanilla rank a lot more, and part of me thinks maybe I should have ranked that one last instead. But again, at least it was 10 fucking ranks, I don't know.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Gunship Cavalry, the worst level of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. It's amazing how they took an already kinda bad level from the original LEGO Star Wars and made it significantly worse. Why did it need tow cables and bombs? Who was asking for that? Tow cables and bombs are my least favorite mechanic in the entire game, but at least in the Hoth battle, they actually made sense and weren't too bad to use because it was a more open area and not a linear track with a lot of pits and enemies. This level is infuriating. I hate it with everything that I am, but I would much rather play it than sit through everything ranked below it.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, look, maybe from an objective critical standpoint, Pocahontas is not worthy of being this low, but it just actively pisses me off. It's literal Oscar bait, explicitly engineered by Jeffrey Katzenberg to grab another slice of that Best Picture nomination pie that Beauty and the Beast got, resulting in this melodramatic, borderline offensive distortion of a real-life historical figure, while also featuring some of the most boring characters and scenes in all of Disneydom. It's garbage, and I truly hate it more and more as the years go on. Unfortunately, it does have a couple really good songs and really stunning animation. There's just enough going for it to make it semi-watchable. But man, I'm sorry, I just can't stand it and everything it represents.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh, alright, we're really about to descend into the abyss here, which contains the worst of the worst from a lot of my movie ranking videos, as well as a couple absolutely atrocious Mario Kart stragglers. With that said, there's one somewhat miscellaneous ranking that still earned its way this low with its bottom spot, and that is the worst Total Drama World Tour song. Yes, I bet you forgot I made that video, huh? A Chinese Lesson is so bad. Like, it's just Chris doing cultural appropriation and not even really singing. He's just saying random shit and then everyone responds. And then it's broken up by dialogue. It stops and starts 5 different times. It's just Oh my god, it's so bad. At least Cody technically sang in this one for 5 seconds. That's more than he sings in like 90% of the other songs in this season. But yeah, this is abysmal. I don't get anything out of it music-wise. It's not catchy. It doesn't do anything fun with its characters. It's like a black hole where music goes to die.
Disappointment in the game of life.
I have nothing more to say about Piranha 2: The Spawning. It's the kind of film my friends and I would attempt to watch for wheel night when we're actively craving a bad movie, and then most likely turn it off 15 minutes in because it's just not doing it for us. The only thing you can possibly get out of it is seeing where James Cameron technically got his start as a filmmaker. And the only real compliment I can give it is that at least it's not Nuki! The whole movie is just these dumbass aliens saying Nuki and Miko to each other over and over again. That's the whole thing! It's so annoying! Make it stop! I close my eyes to sleep at night and all I see is Nuki. Someone free me from this torment!
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh, baby! Now it's time for the lowest of the low for my ranking of every Pixar villain. It's Zurg! Yippee! What a great villain this is. A bafflingly misguided twist from a bafflingly misguided movie that should have never been made. He is an active detriment on the plot of his film, yet he's also really, really dull and forgettable at the same time. Like, I remember the twist and how stupid it is, but I don't remember anything he says or does. Truly, the worst of both worlds.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, bear with me. There's still a couple Mario Kart stragglers we gotta knock out. The second worst race course eligible for this list has gotta be the Mario Kart DS remake of SNES Choco Island 2. This is one of the most actively unfun experiences in the entire series, and I know retro courses in Mario Kart had to start somewhere, but this is the sort of thing that actively makes me wish DS just didn't bother, and they saved the concept for Mario Kart Wii instead. Genuinely, what did we get out of including the retros in DS? Choco Mountain and Sky Garden? Are those the only two worthwhile additions that came from this damn pitiful selection? Anyway, back to Choco Island 2. It looks like ass. It somehow plays worse than it did in 1992. The bumps are completely useless. The mud just feels atrocious to drive through. And yes, somehow this is the better of the two SNES courses eligible for this list.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Yep, here it is. The worst course in all of Mario Kart. For racing, anyway. The dead end, the boring straightaways, the completely pointless alternate path in the middle. If little Timmy made this for you in a Super Mario Kart level editor, you would tell him, "Wow, great job, Timmy," and then proceed to delete it while he's asleep so he doesn't grow up to assume that this is good track design. I kinda toyed with the idea of ranking the DS remake of Choco Island lower, just cause I expect more from that game, but ultimately, I couldn't argue with the king of Koopa shit. This truly is as bad as Mario Kart gets. From a racing perspective. Okay, imagine if they remade this though and added a glider at the dead end. That would actually be pretty sick.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Okay, I was gonna be funny and put Aunt Sarah higher than Zurg because she doesn't actively piss me off as much. But I had to be realistic about her quality as a villain compared to him. He at least serves as a threat to the heroes. Aunt Sarah is nothing more than a nuisance who has like 3 minutes of screen time and accomplishes practically nothing. She is perhaps one of the most boring quote-unquote main antagonists I've ever seen in anything. And yes, to be fair, Lady and the Tramp isn't exactly a movie that needs a main antagonist to function. But based on the criteria of judging Aunt Sarah as the closest thing this movie has to a Disney villain, yeah, she's absolutely abysmal. It's not even a contest. I mean, she owns racist cats for crying out loud.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh baby, this is it. I can feel my life force being siphoned away because we've officially entered the final lap, the home stretch. Here before us are the 11 most bullshit, terrible films I've ever ranked last place. Plus, one other non-movie. I bet you know what that is. These are the 2 out of 10 and below films that I absolutely cannot stand. Ones that absolutely drove me up the wall with how bad they are. But with that said, one of these is significantly not as bad as the others to me. And that is the most recent contender for this list, Kermit's Swamp Years. I was more so bored out of my mind watching this film instead of actively hating myself, which gives it a slight advantage over everything else we've got before us. Really, it's just a lame, low-energy cash grab prequel spin-off that isn't really worth getting upset about. And it did have a couple charming moments, as well as Roy, who is legitimately like the funniest Muppets character for no reason. Like, I'm sorry, I really can't stress that enough. Once again, just listen to the way this guy talks.
You were gonna hurt my hurts, I believe is what it was.
Why is he so casual, and why is that so funny? Yeah, but other than that, this movie sucks complete ass.
Disappointment in the game of life.
And the film that lucked out by just barely missing out on the bottom 10 on this list is, in fact, the worst Blue Sky movie. Ice Age Collision Course. The 5th and not the final Ice Age film is just an asinine, watered down, flavorless piece of mush. I honestly can't remember a single thing about it. And to be fair, I can distinctly recall all the negative emotions I have about the upcoming films on this list, so I guess Ice Age 5 gets to rank above them. How did it get to this point? How are we still getting more of these? The answer is money. Okay, I should be fair and actually say things about the film, but again, I don't remember anything. Let me just rewatch the trailer.
A few minutes later.
Oh yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson is in this. Okay, I think that's enough said.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Oh, it has been ages since I first laid into Turbo. Still to this day, the worst DreamWorks movie, only because Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate doesn't count. It's a TV movie. Anyway, ever since my original ranking, this movie has gotten some attention due to the atrocious taco scene. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, why is he making a taco in the whitest possible way? It's so funny. Yeah, Turbo still sucks complete dick. I watched some scenes to refresh my memory, and I did not laugh once, except for at the funny taco scene. I still think the twist villain is absolutely atrocious beyond belief. I don't like any of the characters. I think the plot is complete ass. When people talk about generic animated slop, this is one of the first movies that comes to mind for me. At least I can get something out of a Despicable Me film, or any Ice Age movie that isn't the 5th one. Sometimes those have decent moments. But God, Turbo is just atrocious. With that said, it ranks higher than the following movies because it has the taco scene.
Who wants a taco?
Disappointment in the game of life.
Now for arguably one of my greatest foes ever, Cars 2. Yes, there are at least 8 things I hate more than Cars 2. Are you guys happy? So people like this film now. And on some level, I get it. I can completely understand being a lot more entertained by this than Lightyear or The Good Dinosaur. Speaking of which, I just wanted to mention that I instinctively put The Good Dinosaur on this list before I remembered that technically, it's never been last place in any of my ranking videos. I honestly forgot. I just assumed it was, because, you know, it's The Good Dinosaur. But yeah, shockingly no, it is not eligible for this list. I would have put it between Pocahontas and A Chinese Lesson in case you're curious. So yeah, back to Cars 2. Look, I see where you guys are coming from. Cars 2 just has this ridiculous batshit charm to it that I would never deny. Like on paper, something as stupid as a spy car movie sounds right up my alley. I just think the thing that really kills this film for me is how stupid everyone who isn't Mater acts. The fact that these actual spies are so incompetent that they don't realize immediately that Mater isn't a spy is what really drills into my head that, oh yeah, this is for 3-year-olds. And that's not something I could say about any other Pixar movie. Like, you know, some of them are made for 7-year-olds at least. Cars 2 is just a weird babyfication of a pretty down-to-earth and not terrible original film. And yet it's also hyper violent, and it's just like, cool, I'm glad you guys like this film, but it doesn't work for me at all. If I wanted to watch something bad, I could just watch any of the movies I listed at the end of the James Cameron ranking. Except Nuki. I'm never watching Nuki again. I think Nuki would rank 3rd to last place on this list if it counted, so yeah. Congratulations, Cars fans! I've previously gone on the record saying that Cars is a better movie than Happy Feet. And now you can officially take solace in the fact that I think Cars 2 is a better movie than Happy Feet 2. Insane to me that a director as visionary and incredible as George Miller could create 2 of the biggest pieces of slop I've ever seen in my life. And then somehow, in the damn climax of this one, he creates one of the top 5 best scenes he's ever done. I really cannot stress enough how good the under pressure scene in this movie is. The gay krill are also pretty enjoyable. Really, these 2 great things should be enough to catapult this out of the bottom area on this list. But genuinely, every other thing about this movie is so awful that it almost doesn't even matter. To get to the under pressure scene, you have to sit through 90 minutes of the most boring, asinine plot with the most annoying characters. Look, if he really had to make this movie to get Mad Max Fury Road funded, then fair enough. But by God, so much of this film just feels soulless. Like there's no spark behind it and everyone is just going through the motions. It's like they had one cool scene they really wanted to make, so they just threw in whatever bullshit they could to make this a feature-length film and get to that scene. I despise Happy Feet with a burning passion. But with that said, we're about to get into some real shit that doesn't even have gay krill and under pressure to save it. In between all this animated slop here at the bottom lies a good old-fashioned piece of live-action slop. The absolute worst movie ever concocted by Steven Spielberg, always. Oh, really? This low? Yeah, this low. I couldn't even sit through the damn thing, it was so boring. I don't have anything new to say. Yep, it's still a big budget Hallmark movie. It is nearly devoid of artistic merit, aside from a couple cool visuals and actors who are trying their best. I can't stress enough, this dude is watching himself get cucked as a ghost. That's the plot! Oh my God, what an unbelievably miserable experience. You legitimately could not pay me to watch this movie again. I hated it. I am never gonna stop hating it. I am this film's #1 hater. No one else could even compare because no one else knows this fucking movie exists! Just barely missing out on the bottom 5. We have a movie with the honor of being the only film on this list that has come in last place not once, but in 2 different ranking videos. Yep, that's right. My least favorite Disney animated movie, both in the 2000s and in general. Dinosaur. Again, people like this movie or whatever. That's nice. I just don't have anything to say. I can't bring myself to muster anything positive about it besides the opening, the score, and Kron was a 4 out of 10 villain and not the absolute worst in Disney history. This movie just drains me, but I've rattled the dinosaur fandom long enough, I guess. So now let's get to the movies that I don't think have any fans. The absolute worst of the worst. Cancer of the crop. Borderline irredeemable garbage that I loathe more than most people could possibly imagine. Yeah, we're in that territory now. Buckle the fuck up. You know, whenever I see Ghibli steelbooks at Barnes & Noble, or look at the list of movies playing for Ghibli Fest every year, I almost forget it exists. I think, wow, Ghibli is so consistent outside of those bad ones. Ocean Waves and Tales from Earthsea. Like, my brain physically cannot comprehend the idea that Earwig and the Witch is not only a Ghibli movie, but that it exists at all. I think a big part of that is the fact that Boy and the Heron now comfortably slots in as the most recent Ghibli film, hereby eradicating Earwig from my memory entirely. And that's probably for the best, because I simply cannot fathom this film. Why does it look like that? Why are the two main characters some of the most hateable I've ever seen in an animated film? Why does the story just stop without actually having a worthwhile and logical ending? Earwig and the Witch is detestable. It offends me on a personal level. And the crazy thing is, I don't think I'm alone in that. It's hard to think of a more universally despised animated film from a major studio. And especially not such a universally beloved one as Ghibli. The cherry on top of all of this is that this was the first Ghibli film in 6 years. So before we knew for a fact Boy and the Heron was coming out, I think most of us would have preferred Ghibli to just stay dead. Cause this is no damn way to live, man. How do you live after making this as a studio? I don't understand. If we never get another Ghibli film again, that's okay. Because now we have a real finale for the studio. Fuck this movie and everything it stands for. On paper, it was probably a surprise for Ghibli of all studios to have a spot this low on the list. But now we're really getting to the rankings where you knew this was gonna be down here, even if you forgot which movie I ranked in last place on them. Time for the worst of the Disney direct-to-DVD sequels. Oh baby, The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. Okay, I'll admit, I might hate Belle's Magical World a little bit more now. I mean, that doesn't even have Sarouche. Yeah, Sarouche is kind of funny. My friends and I joke around about him a lot. Other than that, I mean, practically worthless. It offers literally nothing that was good about the original Hunchback. It's got such a stupid plot. It looks absolutely atrocious. The songs are terrible. I mean, come on, show the mildest bit of fucking decency and self-respect. This movie is devoid of any of that. It is maddeningly insufferable. Except for you, Sarouche. I love you, baby. But yeah, other than that, borderline unwatchable garbage. But you know what? The director did turn his career around and direct The Lion King 1.5 a few years later. So that's what I call a comeback. Congratulations. There is now a G tier. Oh, really, Schaff? You genuinely think playing the Wii U battle mode of Mario Kart 8 on N64 Toad's Turnpike is worse than The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 and Earwig and the Witch? Yes, I genuinely do. It's hard to think of a time where I actively hated myself more than when I was playing the Wii U battle mode of Mario Kart 8 on N64 Toad's Turnpike. This is actually one of the worst gaming experiences I've ever had. Who are the sick, twisted lunatics who play tested and approved this? I looked up footage of this mode to remind myself, because I would never in a million years touch it again as long as I live. And literally in the first 20 seconds of this video I found, we can see Toad innocently throw a green shell and then have it ricochet off of a truck and hit him square in the face. Yes, maybe he shouldn't have thrown it right then and there, but that's not the point. The point is that it's going to be practically impossible to take your opponents down, because how are you possibly going to hit them with all of these cars and trucks moving around? I considered the craters on Lunar Colony to be an undesirable obstacle for the sake of battling. Do you think a goddamn truck is any better? The Wii U battle mode in general, but specifically N64 Toad's Turnpike within it, has truly flabbergasted me for the better part of a year now. In my opinion, this is on the same level of bafflingly miscalculated design as the battle system in Paper Mario Sticker Star. It is beyond miserable, truly irredeemable, with absolutely nothing to enjoy about it. And you might be saying, oh come on, it's Mario Kart. Hell, Mario Kart 8 at that. Surely even the worst experience Mario Kart 8 has to offer is at least a little bit more fun than all these terrible movies. No. You weren't there. Statistically speaking, you probably have never even played this mode since it's stuck on the Wii U, as it should be. You don't get to refute my points about this if you never gave it a try. It is genuinely, without compare, such a heinously bad time that I could never, under good conscience, recommend it to anyone. It gives me no pleasure whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, I am gonna go through the last couple of movies and specifically outline at least one compliment I have for each of them in order to really drill into your skull that, yes, I have thought about each and every one of them and determined that they are all a more worthwhile use of my time than playing the Wii U battle mode of Mario Kart 8 on N64 Toad's Turnpike. Are you ready?
Aye, aye, Captain!
Hunchback 2, easy, Sarouche. Earwig, sometimes I enjoy the Mandrake. Dinosaur, the opening and the score. Always, decent performances and cool visuals. Happy Feet 2, Under Pressure and Gay Krill. Cars 2, sometimes the Italian car is funny. Turbo, I mean, that taco scene is really hilarious. Ice Age 5. I don't know, I guess I can laugh at the funny haha scrat bits. I think you get the picture by now. I can get at least something out of each of these atrocious movies. Battling on N64 Toad's Turnpike offers me nothing. This, to me, is the absolute point of no return when it comes to entertainment. Anything lower than this is heinous beyond all capacity for rational thought. Something I would never willingly subject myself to again, no matter how much you paid me. Okay, I might do it for $1 million, but that's it. And now, my friends, will you walk with me through the valley of the shadow of death? Because believe it or not, there are two films I despise more than N64 Toad's Turnpike battle mode on the Wii U. Genuinely, these are two of the worst abominations that have ever been unleashed into this world. And I knew going in that these would be the bottom two. Like, you might think, oh, this is gonna be such a hard video. And it was, for the most part. But I knew nothing compared to these two movies that go so far beyond the moniker of cinematic disaster. They are irredeemable. They are demonic. Let's get right into the runner-up for the worst thing I've ever watched for this channel. Friends, before we continue on, I just wanted to thank you all for joining me on this despair-filled, torturous journey. I appreciate you standing by me as I confront all of my demons that have been haunting me for years now. We're almost through to the other side, but before we can get there, we have to endure the absolute lowest of the low. The two films that managed to transcend abyss fiction through their sheer awfulness. Without further ado, the runner-up for the worst thing I have ever ranked last place in any of my videos is Hop. Illumination as a studio is really not that bad on average. Their movies are white noise, offering very little to actually get offended by when it comes to their quality, or lack thereof. Hop is something else entirely. Hop is as if Satan and Genghis Khan had a baby, who was then baptized by Jeffrey Dahmer, raised by Charles Manson, babysat by Ted Bundy, taught by Benito Mussolini, fell in love with Quercus Alba, and then unleashed onto a wholly unprepared world who had not an inkling of the horrors that lay within. This is an unconscionable stain on the art of filmmaking and the human race as a whole. And I'm not even going to explain why. Just watch the segment on it in my Illumination ranking. I don't have it in me to relive its horrors.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
You'd think that a movie this heinous and devoid of anything good would have been a shoo-in for the bottom spot to end all bottom spots. But no, it's not. You might have assumed that I had a difficult time determining what the absolute worst thing I've ever covered in a ranking video could possibly be. But I'm gonna be perfectly frank, it wasn't even a contest. I knew immediately that nothing was going to top this. For all of its malaise and malice, for all the ways I thoroughly loathe it beyond all capacity for rational thought, I can give Hop this one thing. It is indeed a movie. You cannot say this about the bottom spot on this list. The most depraved abomination to ever spawn out of a film studio. A vile creation so bad that I don't even think G tier accurately captures my thoughts and feelings. This shit belongs in H tier. If ever there was anything on the planet that I would give a 0 out of 10 score to, this would be it. I am speaking, of course, about the one and only Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania. Like I said, this was one of the easiest decisions of my life. This pandering piece of WWE corporate slop literally only exists to suck the metaphorical dicks of these real-life wrestlers. In doing so, Sony zombified the Surf's Up IP, not only not desiring to continue the first film's story for any artistic reasons, but amazingly, not even serving as a cash grab meant to appeal to the original film's fans. This is a Surf's Up movie solely because Sony picked the original film off the shelf, said, "Hey, this is about surfing, which is a sport, so having the WWE in this world is perfect." And then going from there. It was made for absolutely nobody except WWE shareholders and the ego of Vince McMahon. Let me put it to you this way. At least Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate was conceived, greenlit, and written with the intent to appeal to Megamind fans. They went about it very poorly, but at least it inarguably was meant to expand the Megamind series first and foremost. Surf's Up 2 is not the same thing. Not by a long shot. You do not know true pain, true fury, true despair until you attempt to endure even 1 minute of this abhorrent nightmare. It is beyond irredeemable, and by far the worst thing I've ever been forced to endure for this channel. Let me put it to you another way, in fact. Artemis Fowl is my least favorite movie of all time, mainly because of how thoroughly it butchers a book I have fond, nostalgic memories of, on top of how unpleasant, incompetent, and unengaging it is by its own merits. Yes, I do consider it to be my least favorite film. But from a quality perspective, objectively speaking, Surf's Up 2 is worse. Way worse, in fact. Genuinely, it's impossible for me to come up with something that even compares to its sheer awfulness. I guess some of the homemade movies I watch with my friends on Tubi are technically worse, but they come from an endearing place of misguided but admirable passion, on top of having some funny moments. I had a severe allergic reaction to how horrible Nuki was, but I wouldn't trade the memory of watching it for the first time with my friends for anything in the world. Nothing Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania has ever done or will ever do will ever inspire a single positive feeling in me. I can joke around with my friends about how bizarre and offensive Hop is, and I can appreciate the fact that I'm suffering together with someone playing the Wii U battle mode in Mario Kart 8 with me. The same is not true for Surf's Up 2. It is everything wrong with the entertainment industry and then some. I loathe it more than words could possibly express. It is my greatest foe. That one vile creature I will never shake the sight of for as long as I live. It has permanently ruined my life, and it didn't even provide me the courtesy of being hilariously bad and memorable. It added nothing to my life. It only took away. That's all it does. It just takes and takes and takes until you have nothing left. No reason to keep going except for the vague promise that if you get through this blight on society as we know it, then you'll finally get to watch Spider-Verse at the end of this ranking video. Was it worth it? No, it really wasn't. I hate Surf's Up 2 more than I love Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. My heart is blackened, filled with nothing but hatred for this pandering piece of corporate slop. I will never truly be content knowing evil such as this exists in the world. All I know is pain and suffering. And this would not be the case had it not been for Surf's Up 2, the worst thing I've ever ranked. Oh my god, my voice! I'm dying! Well, that was an exhausting ordeal, but we came out of it on the other end, and we shall be rewarded for our efforts. It is now finally time for the Chez Frillis Sandwich 6 to conclude, at long last! I've been thinking long and hard about the last ingredient my sandwich needs, and I think I finally figured it out. Ring bologna. That's not related to anything we just talked about in this video. I just like ring bologna a lot. Anyway, there's a convenient thing of ring bologna just sitting right there. Let me go grab it. What the?
You fool. Did you honestly think it would be that easy to complete your sandwich?
Yeah. Who even are you anyway?
I am a malicious being that has existed since time itself first began. I am the antithesis to art and human expression, an affront to life itself.
Oh, you're AI art.
Okay, I'm not that bad, but I'm like the worst thing that could possibly exist created by human hands.
Wait. No! You can't be!
I sure can. I am the one, the only, the creature that has haunted your dreams for 3 years now.
No! It's Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania!
That's right. I lured you here as a trap to defeat you once and for all. This whole video you're in, it's a trap. Not to mention I've been sabotaging you this entire time. You never knew it, Schaff, but I was always there.
What?
That's right. I stole all the ingredients at the Coconut Mall sandwich store. I created that iceberg that the Titanic was supposed to ram into. I shot Shinjiro Persona 3 in cold blood while you weren't looking. I went back in time to 2005 to convince director Kirk R. Thatcher to include a sexy PS2 chicken lady in Muppets Wizard of Oz.
No! Wait, what did you do in the Disney villain ranking?
Oh, nothing. That was my week off. But other than that, I've been there every step of the way, trying to stop you from creating the perfect sandwich. But you've managed to overcome every obstacle thrown your way. Well, not anymore. I will finally destroy you and your sandwich once and for all. Then no one will be able to stop me from taking over the universe, because nobody else even knows I came out. Seriously, I feel like you're the only person who even cares.
Aw, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's just, I do so much to get recognized as an affront to cinema in general. But no, everyone just has to say, oh, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate is the biggest downgrade between a first and second movie.
Aw, don't worry about that, buddy. I mean, you're a decent second place in that regard.
Are you serious?
Well, I mean, you are a worse movie than Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, but I feel like the gap is a little wider because the first Megamind is a little bit better than the first Surf's Up.
Dude, I'm pouring my heart out to you here, and you're using your dumb reviewer semantics to be like, oh, well actually, you're not the biggest downgrade in cinema history.
Well, to be fair, you probably shouldn't generalize and make a statement about cinema history if your only experience with cinema is mainstream animated movies.
Oh, here we go again, Mr. Pretentious over here, who thinks he's too good to only watch Disney and DreamWorks movies and nothing else. Sorry, I guess you only like more obscure films for adults, like Argyle and Red One.
Good God. Alright, my guy, you gotta, die now.
Oh yeah? And how are you gonna stop me?
With my laser vision, which I've had the whole time, idiot. Pew!
You fool. Don't you know that I'm immune to lasers ever since I coated myself with the milk that comes out of the fish Vince McMahon fantasizes about drinking?
What the fuck?
Just face it, I'm invincible. You can't stop me.
Damn, he's right. I can't stop him. If only I had some help.
Yahoo!
Luigi! I told you I would return in a future installment. The Terminator! Hey, Shinjiro! Lion King! Hello, it is me too, Kermit the Frog. Constantine! It is time to terminate this terrible movie together. You don't have to tell me twice. Wait, did you not get shot in the chest and die? Nope. Thankfully, the bullet didn't hit me. It only hit the bottle of ketchup I had in my pocket. That is some crazy and unrealistic luck. Yeah, it does sound a little contrived, doesn't it?
Okay, if you guys are done being meta, can we get on with the fight now?
Sure, okay. Whew! We did it! We finally defeated him. Does anyone have any ideas on how we should finish him off? I got it! You shoot him with your laser vision! We already did that. Right, yeah, how about you have Luigi shoot him? Nah, Luigi would never shoot anyone. True. Oh, I got it for real this time. Are you ready? Alright, Surf's Up 2. I've consulted with famous director Quentin Tarantino, and we've come up with a fate to subject you to. You can eat my sandwich.
Wait, really?
Yes. It occurred to me that maybe the one thing I need to do to you that no one else has done is show you some kindness. I mean, it is Christmas after all. That's right, this is retroactively a Christmas arc, just out of sheer coincidence of when it came out.
Wow, no one's ever given me a gift before. Thanks so much.
No problem, Surf's Up 2. You deserve it.
Well, bottoms up.
Nom nom nom.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the poison apple. Oops. Well, I'm sure he's gonna be fine.
He's dead.
I'm afraid he is terminated. Maybe we should all go out for pizza instead. And that's the Schaeferless Sandwich 6. Thanks for tuning into the story arc, and I'll see you guys at the Emmys when we sweep them. I'm gonna go sleep now and not make videos for like 2 weeks. I have such a headache. Well, okay, maybe I'll review Sonic 3, and then I'll not make videos for a little bit. But then I'll be back with more stuff next year. I'm gonna do more Pikmin videos for realsies. I'm finally gonna allow my Ace Attorney obsession to seep into the channel. Nintendo is probably gonna reveal the next Mario Kart for the Switch 2 any day now, and I'm gonna be covering that, baby! I'm gonna make some truly epic musical theater videos. Yes, that was a hint. I'm gonna make a video just entitled Animation is Cinema. And then a bunch of Twitter snobs are gonna screenshot the thumbnail and say, I've never wanted to click on a video less. But the joke's on them, because it's actually gonna be about obscure, mature animated films that I want to recommend to you guys. And even when I talk about Disney and Pixar stuff, I'm gonna make sure every one of those videos has a recommendation of an obscure animated film Trojan horsed in there. This is gonna be the year, baby. I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm gonna do everything I can to help enrich my audience's tastes. My cinematic palette has been growing over the past few years, and now I want to help your palettes grow too. See you next year. Or rather, I'll talk about Sonic 3, and then see you next year. Good night, Tri-State area.